of the most important international organizations with significant programs on forests met on the eve of the 14th World Forestry Congress in Durban, South Africa, to define the vision for forests and forestry in the post-2015 era. As members of the Collaborative Partnership on Forests, or CPF, they discussed what this partnership can do to turn that vision into reality. José Graziano da Silva, the Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization and CPF Chair, opened the event.
The main challenges humankind is facing have to be addressed in an integrated way. Foresters are called upon to engage with other sectors to realize the full potential of forestry.
Moderated by TV news journalist Deborah Patta, the dialogue gave CPF leaders the opportunity to outline the action needed to safeguard the world's forests and the many benefits they provide for future generations. Manuel Sobral Filho of the United Nations Forum on Forests called on governments to make good on their commitments by improving governance and involving all stakeholders.
The challenge of improving the world's forests is great, and there is not even one solution that fits all. For several countries, perhaps the most important thing is to improve forest governance and enabling environment.
Braulio de Sousa Dias of the Convention on Biological Diversity argued that preserving biodiversity is key to helping forests resist natural disasters and climate change.
So biodiversity has to be understood as an underlying property of forests and other ecosystems. If we lose that property, the forests and other ecosystems will lose their capacity to be resilient.
The important contribution of forests to many of the Sustainable Development Goals and the post-2015 agenda was set out by CIFOR's Director General Peter Holmgren.
Broadly, whether it's biodiversity, whether it's poverty, whether it is climate change, whether it is other aspects that supports food production or other parts of the development agenda, forestry will always be a factor and an important factor.
This was a view shared by many, including Magdi Martinez Solman of the United Nations Development Programme.
We have 1.6 billion people living in and of forests. Their health, their water, their livelihoods, their jobs, their security, their culture, their traditions, their life, their villages depend on healthy forests.
But action is needed to fully implement sustainable forest management, Emmanuel Zemeka of the International Tropical Timber Organization warned.
We have to build capacity among the major stakeholders, which are the communities, the private sector, and also the government.
Tony Simons of the World Agroforestry Center challenged the conventional definitions of agriculture and forestry.
But for a more vibrant forest future, we need to sort out some definitional problems. Why is a tree grown for rubber part of agriculture, but an adjacent rubber tree grown for timber is part of a forest? We need to move away from institutional and sectoral definitions of forests to functional definitions.
A worrying gap between forest science and forest policy was identified by Mike Wingfield of the International Union of Forest Research Organizations.
Oftentimes we hear or are told that scientists cannot hear politicians and politicians cannot hear scientists. And for UFO, this is a tremendous challenge. We believe that there is potential to establish more direct science-policy interaction.
Meanwhile, high-level commitment must be translated into effective action on the ground, said the World Bank's Paula Caballero.
And that also means that we have to help countries get on forest-friendly, sustainable pathways. And it's the pathways that's important. We're not looking anymore at just specific development outcomes. We've got to be looking at long-term development pathways that are different and that change the way that we've been approaching business as usual.
Mette Wilkie of the United Nations Environment Programme called for a new model to reconcile the need for economic development while maintaining a healthy environment.
Firstly, we do need to make sure that we properly account for the goods and services that are provided by forests and other ecosystems, so that we can all take decisions that are better informed.
Finally, Luther Bois-Anocourt of the International Union for Conservation of Nature argued for better integration of protected areas in view of increasing demand and competition for land and other natural resources.
The future of protected areas lies in the integrated models that involve people through inclusive partnerships and governance, and this is in the spirit of Category 5 and 6 of the IUCN protected area categories.
To turn the vision into reality, the leaders agreed on the need for the CPF to bolster coordination, capitalizing on the individual strengths of its members, which include science, research, financing and implementation, as well as policy development.
The CPF is very special in the sense that it connects so many different disciplines and so many areas of strength.
So I think that we have a lot of potential collectively within the CPF. And I think that what we will need is really to strengthen this coordination and to work together.
I think that one of the challenges that we have as CPF team is to try to focus our communication more and integrate it with the Sustainable Development Goals that I think that will be what the world will be talking about from September on.
And that's what we need to do in the CPF. We have to go down, get out of a holding pattern, come down to the ground and really figure out how we deliver for our clients, for our countries, for our constituencies.
Closing the dialogue, FAO's Graziano da Silva concluded that deforestation should be a thing of the past.
There is no trade-off between enlarging agriculture production, livestock production, fisheries, and cutting forestry. This is over. This is part of the past. We don't need to cut any tree anymore, presuming that this will help produce more food. From the point of view of FAO, the most important now is to put sustainability in the front line and try to connect the different sectors to that and integrate that. So integrating agriculture, livestock production, fisheries, and forestry helps, and that's what we need to show. And we have enough science-based evidence to show that.
Ideas shared by the CPF leaders were incorporated into the official outcome document of the World Forestry Congress, the Durban Declaration, which sets out a vision for forest and forestry for a sustainable future to 2050 and beyond.